All right, we are firing away.
I got to get over here and make sure I shut my thing down. So let me know when we're live.
All right, we are live. Welcome, everybody, to Beyond the Grave Radio, where the dead educate the living, live on YouTube. I'm your host, Christina Corsetti, and tonight my partner, Roger Bell.
Hello, everybody.
Well, we decided we're going to be a little creative and we're going to start having intros to the show and maybe do some breaks with music or things like that. So hopefully we can get that going pretty soon. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and get that picture thing working.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You know what I mean? Get that working and see if we can start doing intros again, because I think that's really fun to do. But tonight, we have a great show for you. We are discussing mirror superstitions. Are you superstitious? Superstitions about death, burial, and cemeteries. Old superstitions of cures. And 25 common superstitions and their origins. So we're going to start with mirror superstitions. Now, there are many superstitions involving mirrors. The broken mirror is probably the focus of more superstitious than any other subject. Breaking a mirror is supposed to bring 7 years of bad luck. These stories evolve from time when people used water as a mirror. They look into water to see their fates. If the image was distorted, the viewer would die. Beliefs change as the mirror changed form. Early people imagined they saw the image of their soul in a mirror. If a mirror was broken, was so the soul, and it was sure sign of a person's death. Now, the 7 years bad luck seems to have evolved from the ancient Rome belief that 7 years was the time period it took for a soul to renew itself. So the Romans are also responsible for little-known remedy useful for everyone who breaks a mirror. The only way that you could overcome the 7 years is to bury the broken mirror pieces very deeply in the ground. Now, many families cover all mirrors in the house as someone dies. This is to prevent the souls deceased from getting trapped in the mirror. In some ancient cultures, when a loved one was murdered, died a horrible accident, or died from suffering from love, all mirrors must be covered because the spirit of dead would be hanging about, looking for a body to possess in order to resolve an important issue before moving on. Now, if a mirror is in the house and it falls from a wall and it breaks on its own, it means someone is going to die. Vampires and witches are not supposed to show reflections in mirrors because they have no souls. And some cultures believe that a baby should never be shown its own reflections before it's a year old, or else it will die. It does consider bad luck to see your face in a mirror by candlelight. If you looked at a mirror by candlelight, you might see the spirit of a loved person who has died. Actors believe it's bad luck to see their reflection in a mirror while looking over another's shoulder. If you want to know about your future husband looks like, you sit down in front of a mirror and eat an apple. After that, you start brushing your hair, and an image of your future beloved will appear behind your shoulder in the mirror's reflection. Mirrors have the ability to suck out souls. So to avoid this happening, mirrors were removed from a room where all ill or dying person laid. The person being, they were thought that they would be more vulnerable to the negative power of the mirror. People were warned never to look into a mirror at night or by candlelight. If you did, you would be certain to see ghosts, demons, or even death of your own. When a person dies in a room, the mirror had to be covered and turned to face the wall. Failure to do so will result in the deceased person's soul being lost, or they may even turn into a vampire. Even while asleep, it was thought best to cover your mirror, as you could be vulnerable to attack from negative spirits or demons during the dark hours. It was also advised to never place your bed in the place where it reflected in a mirror. In order to prevent mirrors being used by portal by supernatural entities, the mirror should be frequently moved to different areas of the room. And mirrors with solid backing placed in the same position for a long period of time are thought to be more likely to become spiritual portals.
So what kind of experiences have people had with mirrors? There are hundreds of documented cases of haunted mirrors, and they tend to have similar characteristics. People have reported paranormal experiences when an old mirror brought into the home from somewhere else, and that's like the attachment thing, I guess.
Yeah.
When moving into a new home, have had problems with mirrors left behind by the previous occupants. I've always thought that was a little creepy anyway. People have reported paranormal activity after using mirrors for divination, scrying, etc. Usually, no protection was used by the participants, and it is thought that they may have created a portal. It's suggested that when carrying out any kind of spiritual work with mirrors, to use a cleansing and protective ritual. If you are doing spiritual work that doesn't involve a mirror or other scrying device, then these should either be covered or put away in a safe place. It has also been observed that using a Ouija board also creates portals. Yeah. Mirrors nearby are often claimed to be the origin of the portal after a Ouija board session. Often people have reported having experiences with haunted mirrors in hotels, friends and relatives' home, visiting a place as a tourist, and so on. These areas usually, but not always, have a reputation for being haunted. I wonder where that came from. The phenomena reported in connection with haunted mirrors are varied. The most common manifestation is the formation of images of people, entities, other than the people occupying the room. However, it should be remembered that natural distortions and curious light effects can create a number of bizarre effects. Add to this is the brain's phenomenal ability to create meaningful shapes and faces out of random patterns. Orbs, quote unquote.
Okay, but are they talking about pareidolia? Is that what they're saying?
No, no, no. Well, yeah, they're saying that it's the human brain is naturally, I guess, I can't think of the word I'm looking for here. They see faces in things whether there's faces or not, because the human brain is the, is set to, I guess, see human shapes.
Okay.
So they do it automatically whether it is or isn't. The phenomena reported in connection with haunted mirrors are varied. We went through this. Manifestation forms figures occupy a room. However, it should be remembered that natural distortions, and this is like you were saying, pareidolia, or the natural effect of the human brain. But despite this, many of the reported cases of haunted mirrors were witnessed by more than one person at different times of the day in various lighting conditions. Therefore, these cases may possibly rule out natural causes. Added to this, other forms of paranormal manifestations developed in addition to that connected with the mirror involved.
So,
And
I believe that, mirrors are portals, you know what I mean? And that, spirits can get trapped in them and stuff like that, because I did have cases, investigations to where there was spirits in the mirror, and sitting in front of it, even if it's in the other room, but you know what I mean? You're still in front of it. It can do things to you.
I've understood that like facing two mirrors towards each other can create a portal.
Yeah.
This now there's a little trick I used to do just for the fun of it. Once I realized I could do it, um, if you're in a room that's semi-dark and you have a mirror, you sit in front of it and stare into it, and you don't blink, your head will dissolve.
Huh.
But once you blink, it pops back. But I mean, it's just really weird. And it was when I first did that, I'm like, holy shit, my head's gone. And then, of course, it came back, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I kept doing it.
Uh,
But I mean, mirrors are, there's a lot of things about mirror you can do, and you may not want to do. Anyway, So, paranormal activity includes.
All right. Let's see here. Hold on. Do you know the two-way mirror trick when you put your finger on it?
Huh?
The two-way mirror. You put your finger on it, and if it touches, I think you're fine. And if it doesn't touch, no, if it doesn't touch, if it touches, it's a two-way mirror. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. But anyway, paranormal activities include shadow people. They are frequently being witnessed in connection with haunted mirrors. Witnesses describe not only shadow people standing near to mirrors, but also within the mirror and entering or leaving them. Quite a few cases also report other phenomenon at the same time, such as cold spots, voices, noises, and orbs. Ooh. Odors ranging from pleasant to vile have also been described. So, strange mists. Mists are not only seen entering and leaving mirrors, but sometimes form into more recognizable shapes, usually a humanoid one. Other people have described these mists evolving into dense, dark masses that move around the room as well as within mirrors. The feelings reported by witnesses are usually of a negative nature. Anger, hostility, evil are some of the feelings experienced. In addition, people have given accounts of other phenomena happening at the same time, such as cold spots, orbs, glowing eyes, growls, voices, poltergeist activity. And faces. This is probably by far the most frequent manifestation reported by people in association with haunted mirrors. These faces are most of the time human and sometimes known to the witness, but there are a number of accounts where people have reported other entities and demonic faces appearing.
You were talking about faces appearing in mirrors. Myrtle's plantation is supposed to have a mirror that's famous for that.
Yes.
So anybody that goes to Myrtle's, be sure to check out that mirror and see if you see any faces in there. Be interesting to know. Are you superstitious? If you go to bed on one side of the bed and get up on the other side, it is considered bad luck. Through history, many have taken this belief seriously, and it is where the phrase he or she got up on the wrong side of the bed comes from. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Superstitions like black cats crossing your path, breaking mirrors, walking under ladders, and opening an umbrella inside a building all bring bad luck. This last superstition is useful, for it is extremely difficult to get an open umbrella through a doorway. True.
Yeah, actually.
You should never vow your love for another under a full moon. It dooms it. Hundreds of years ago, humankind felt that the moon was erratic at best. It changes size throughout the month and completely disappears during eclipses. When you yawn, you must always cover your mouth. After all, this is just good manners. But this belief actually came about because people felt the devil makes people yawn so he can enter and possess them. Never heard that before. So people would make the sign of the cross over their mouth originally. This evolved into covering your mouth. Guess what this Friday is? On
Oh,
Friday,
yeah. Yeah,
on Friday the
definitely.
13th, or on any day, you should never cross a knife and fork on the dinner table. This is why many traditional place settings place the knife and fork on opposite sides of the plate. Crossing these two utensils was believed to bring bad luck in the form of difficult times ahead. That a gift given to a recipient should never be given outright. It should be loaned only, or a small token should be given in return, such as a nickel or a penny. This was done because it was felt a gift given outright meant a serving of the bond of friendship. This superstition has some truth to it. How many times have people loaned money and lost a friend?
Yeah,
Yep.
that's true.
Okay.
13
People should never sit down and eat at the same table. This brings bad luck. This superstition comes from the Last Supper. Wow.
Is that how many there were
13 people should not sit down at the same table to eat because there was 13 people
at the Last
at the
Supper?
Last Supper, and of course one of them was Judas.
Well, another superstition states if 13 people meet in one room, one of them will die before the end of the year.
Wow.
Yet another superstition that involves the number 13 is one that is still practiced. Most tall buildings still do not acknowledge there's a 13th floor,
Right.
that you should never go out on the first date on a Friday night. Of course, today, Friday, is date night. But in the past, people felt that a courtship was doomed if started on a Friday night.
In
In
England,
England,
hundreds of years
hundreds of
ago,
years ago, if a young couple was seen out on a Friday night, they were surrounded with the
serenaded.
serenaded with the bangings of pots and pans to shame or embarrass them into delaying their courtship until the following day.
Huh. That's weird. It was initially believed broken mirrors brought 7 years of bad luck because they not only were a reflection of the person, they held bits of a person's soul. Another belief around mirrors was that it was important to cover them in the presence of the sick and dying. If this was not done, it was believed the patient might see death lurking in the reflection. Bringing a woman on board a boat, now I've heard this a lot. Bringing a woman on board a boat or ship was considered bad luck. In an old maritime superstition, females' presence could endanger the crew. It was even believed a female could curse or cause everyone on board to die. Another maritime superstition involved the tradition that no one on board a boat could speak the name of one particular fish. It was called the beast, the red fish, the soulfish, or simply the fish. But is it was never called by its real name, salmon. Wow.
You call it salmon, I call it salmon.
Salmon? Salmon?
Salmon.
You
Is
love
that just being up,
salmon?
is that just being up in New England?
You like salmon patties?
I never heard salmon before. That's funny. All right. Well, superstitions about death, burial, and cemeteries. Um, a corpse should never leave any home or building feet first, or else the corpse will be looking back at the building and calling for someone within it to follow him to death. Never heard of that one.
No, I ain't either.
Touching the corpse will ensure that the ghost of the dead will not haunt you. A variation says that touching the corpse on the forehead assures you will not dream of the dead.
Never heard that one either.
Taking a corpse to the cemetery in your own vehicle is extremely bad luck. The corpse should not pass over any part of the same road twice. The corpse should not pass over any part of the same road twice.
That's weird.
If the funeral procession stops on its way to the cemetery, another death will soon follow. Counting the cars in a funeral procession is ill-advised, as it is said that you are simply counting the days until your own death.
Okay, I ain't heard that either.
Go ahead, Roger.
Take care that you do not see your reflection in a hearse, or you will be the next to be carried in it. Going ahead of the funeral procession or passing a funeral procession is very bad luck, and death will soon follow if you do. It used to be believed that carrying a baby in a funeral procession would ensure that it would die before its first birthday. If a black cat crosses in front of a funeral procession, there will be a death in the family of the deceased within 3 days. Some fascinating American superstitions involve the burial of people who have been murdered. Some believe that burying the victim face down would prevent the murderer from leaving the area in which the victim was buried. Others believe that burying the liver separately from the body would ensure that the murderer would be caught near the place the liver was buried. I ain't never heard that.
All
You
right,
know, as far as I know, ain't nobody gonna bury my liver outside of me. Just saying.
well, they have to take all that stuff out anyway.
Uh,
Well,
grave,
graves
grave,
should be dug east to west.
yeah.
Superstition over time has varied on which direction the head should be laid. Many say the head of the deceased should be laid towards the west. In general, it is so the soul will not be lost at the resurrection. One reason it gives for this is so the dead won't have to turn around when Gabriel blows the trumpet during Revelation. Still, others believe the head should face the east, as that is the direction of the star that's shown at the birth of Jesus.
And I've noticed in most cemeteries that the headstones are facing east.
Wouldn't it, yeah. Graves should never be left open overnight. It will lead to another death. It is ideal to dig and close a grave all on the day of the burial. If a grave is left open over Sunday, another death will occur before the next Sunday. The shovels and other tools used to dig a grave used to be left at the grave site for a day or more after the burial, as moving them too soon would bring bad luck.
Wow, never heard that one either.
If the casket slips while it's being lowered into the grave, another death will soon follow. Leaving the grave before it is filled will welcome another death to follow. If it rains into an open grave, bad luck will come to the member of the deceased family. Likewise, being the first to leave the cemetery, it's bad luck and could bring you death. Another similar superstition stated that the sex of the first person to leave the cemetery would be the sex of the next person to die. Another member of the family will soon die if the earth covering a grave sinks in. What about if it doesn't grow any grass on it?
Now, wait a minute now. Leaving the grave. No, wait a minute. Where's that one? Being the first to leave the cemetery is bad luck and could bring you death.
Yeah.
Let's say you got 100 people at a cemetery where somebody's being buried.
Yeah, you're saying you're the first one to leave the
Ain't
cemetery.
gonna be 100 people there for 6 months because ain't nobody gonna want to be the first one to leave. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you gotta leave sooner or later.
My God, they'd be calling in orders from McDonald's. Can you deliver, please? Just saying, you know.
I like to know about growing no grass on it. That happens a lot, doesn't it?
And while we're thinking about it, and this hasn't been brought up in any of the stuff that we're reading, but what's with the thing about uh, like the next of kin, which would be the closest, like if it's your wife or husband or uh, something like that, you throw a handful of dirt in on the coffin.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Well, I've never seen that down here.
I mean, what is the purpose of that? It has to be some kind of superstition thing.
Let's find out.
Anybody in the chat room knows what the purpose of that is? Speak up, because I've never known what that was all about.
Throwing dirt on a grave can symbolize deep respect and religious custom. Throwing dirt on a grave is a somber experience, symbolizing a variety of cultural and religious messages.
Well, there you go. I just always wondered why they did that. Now I know the whole thing about the next of kin would like lay a flower on the coffin, and stuff like that. But I never did get the throwing a fistful of dirt in there. So
So throwing dirt on the casket is a ceremonial nod to the Bible, calling us to acts of mercy and charity, such as burying the dead. So basically, it's more religious.
okay.
Yeah, but I've never um experienced that.
I've
But
never seen anybody do it, but I've seen and read a lot about, and if you watch like some of the older movies, where they're reminiscing, the older time periods,
yeah,
they did that a lot.
yeah,
So I always just wondered, and that's just like, the thing about when they used to have wakes in the house, the person's house, they would have them in like the parlor or something
yeah.
laid out, and somebody decided to change that from the death room to the living room. That's where that phrase came from, the living room. Just weird stuff. It was
All
bad
right.
luck to step over a grave and bad luck to point at a grave. Visiting a cemetery after dark will bring you bad luck. Man, I must have the worst luck in the world
Oh, I love going to cemetery
because
after
I've
all.
been in a bunch of them after dark. Old
Yep.
superstitions and curses for everyday maladies. Asthma. Ancient Romans used to believe that ingesting around 20 crickets with wine would help ease symptoms. Several centuries later, those living in Cornwall were told to swallow cobwebs that had been rolled into a ball. Other cures dating from around the 1500s included eating raw cat, ah, drinking the foam collected from the mouth of a donkey, yuck, or simply eating nothing but boiled carrots for 2 weeks. I'd rather eat boiled carrots than any of the rest of them. And, especially donkey broth. All this superstition dictates that a sudden loss of hair could indicate the loss of a child, health, or property. However, this problem was supposedly avoided by never cutting one's hair while the moon is in its waning stage, or cutting one's hair as short as possible and then singing the sing, singeing the cut ends. Standing in the rain for a long time also was said to prevent baldness. Cures for baldness included rubbing bear fat mixed with laudanum onto the scalp. If bear fat was unavailable, a substitute of fox fat or onion juice was mixed with laudanum. Could also be used. Another remedy involved goose drop, rubbing goose droppings onto the bald patches. I'm sorry, I just have to be a ball, so I'm gonna. I ain't rubbing no goose droppings on my head. Bedwetting. Yeah. According to old superstition, there is one surefire way to eradicate bedwetting. First, you need to roast, fry, or boil a mouse, bake it into a pie, and feed it to the child concerned. Ugh. If this fails, the child can then wear a bag containing rat or mole droppings or roasted slugs to wear around their neck. Oh my freaking Lord. If the, if the problem still does not resolve, the child must be taken to a graveyard. There, the child must urinate on the grave of a child of the opposite sex. Are you freaking kidding me here? Also, I hope you guys in chat, you ladies and guys, whoever in chat are cracking up over this because it's funny. Also, according to the Scots, it must be noted that a child must not play with fire before bed, as this will only worsen the problem. And
All right.
I'll let you do blackheads there because I'm about grossed out enough here.
All right. Well, blackheads. Most teenagers can relate to getting one of these blemishes caused by blocked pores. Superstition indicates that blackheads can be gotten rid of if the sufferer crawls through an archway made by a bramble. While crawling through he or she, they should move in the east-west direction for best results. What's a bramble?
Don't ask me. I didn't live in the 16th century.
Blindness. Coming across a blind person in the streets is considered good luck. Helping a blind person is even better luck. However, if a bride meets a blind man on the way to church, it's considered unlucky. And breasts that are sore. Superstition says that a woman suffering from sore breasts needs to go to the church at midnight. There, she must acquire lead from a stained glass window, which must then be shaped into a heart and worn around her neck.
A bunion. Bunions, y'all. These can be cured by applying a mixture of cow dung and fish oil onto the affected spot overnight. Burns. Several charms can be said while blowing on the site of the injury to help bring relief from the pain. In Shropshire, or whatever that is, or poultice of goose droppings. Man, here we go with the goose droppings again. And elder bark that have been fried in May butter. What about June butter? Can be applied to the injured area. And you guys were having fun, but some of this stuff is just hilarious. I'm sorry.
The way that you're saying it just makes me laugh. I don't know. I get the
Well,
giggles.
now, we're talking about goose droppings and elder bark that have been fired in May butter can be applied to the injured area. Those in Cheshire suggested simply wrapping some church linen around the wound. I think I'd rather have that than the goose droppings, and June butter. But okay, cancer. Now this is a serious thing. Cancer. In the olden days, cancer was often thought to have been caused by a spider crawling on a victim or the result of witchcraft. Although superstition offers no absolute cure for cancer, there are several treatments. One remedy, and how much you want to bet there's some goose droppings in here somewhere. One remedy involves burning the head of a mad dog and applying the ashes to the cancerous growth to shrink it. Another belief states that the cancer itself must be fed. Therefore, to feed the cancer raw meat would be placed on the tumor itself or on the sufferer's bedside. In Cambridgeshire, a cure for breast cancer involving rubbing a live toad over one's breast. It was also believed that swallowing small toads and frogs, ribbit, alive would get rid of cancer. Hence, the amphibians were thought to then suck out all the poison. Would you like to do colds?
Sure. Superstition claims that it's impossible to catch a cold in a church. However, if one does catch a cold, it can be cured by catching oak leaves in autumn as they fall to the ground. Another remedy is to stuff one's nose with thin cut orange peels.
I thought it was fixing to say goose droppings.
I never heard of that one though. Is it putting orange peels up your nose?
Nah, I ain't either.
All right, deafness. Superstition, finding the backbone of an ox in a piece of meat can cause hearing loss. Irish superstition says that deafness could be cured by applying drops of eel oil to the ears. Instead of eel oil, the scouts used to use mixture of ant eggs and onion juice. Those living in Gloucestershire were told to prick a snail and allow the juices to flow into their ears, or to pour cow urine into their ears.
Now, see, that's the thing. I remember my grandmother, and it wasn't cow urine, it was just urine, period.
No, my mother did oil and heated it up and put hot oil in my ears.
Well, the whole urine thing, my grandmother used to talk about pouring urine in your ear if you had an ear infection.
Really?
So, that's like the really old time, I guess,
Well, wouldn't it
home
be the
remedies
same?
for stuff.
Wouldn't it be the same if you had like a foot infection or something and you just pee on your feet?
Don't get me lying. Drunkenness. I want to see how to cure this one. To cure someone from alcoholism, it was recommended that a person slipping something unappetizing like owl eggs, blood, the powder of a dead man's bones, or live eels into the person's drink. If a person wants to sober up quickly, they should roll around in manure. I'm sorry. Okay. I hope everybody got a good laugh out of that. I love that. That's just too much. Okay. If a person wants to sober up quickly, they should roll around in manure, drink olive, and then be forced to smell their own urine. Males must then also bind their genitals to a vinegar-soaked cloth. I'll be damned. However, one can avoid the problem of getting drunk altogether if they eat the roasted lungs of a pig before going out to drink.
I'm gonna cry. I'm sorry. Definitely. All right, ear issues. I should think about this because I do have ear issues. A tingling ear means someone somewhere is talking about you. If the right ear tingles, that means it's a good thing being said. On the other hand, if it's your left that is tingling, it means that someone is spreading gossip. However, if the person with the tingling ear pinches the affected ear or makes a sign of a cross, the person spreading the gossip will immediately bite their tongue. Hearing ringing in one's ears has a whole other superstition behind it because the ringing is said to resemble church bells. Having ringing in your ears, it's said to warn of death of a friend or family member. So another superstition um, says that a person whose ear is ringing asks a friend to choose a random letter from the alphabet. That letter will tell the person the first initial of their future spouse.
Oh, wow. Epilepsy. According to the ancients, epileptics were thought to be somehow in contact with the gods. Therefore, people were extremely wary of the disease. Later epileptic fits were blamed on witchcraft. Cures for this disorder included burying a black rooster alive at the place where the fit took place, piercing the ground with a nail, or wearing a ring made from a half crown that was given during a Holy Communion service. Another cure was to drink a potion made from mistletoe and then consuming the heart and blood of a cow for 9 days straight. Yuck. Man, they got to come up with some better cures.
Well, considering I have eye issues, an itchy right eye is said to be lucky for men, but unlucky for women. If the itching eye becomes intolerable, one should bathe their eyes with rainwater gathered from the leaves of a teasel, or that was collected on either Holy Thursday or Ascension.
Ascension.
What is it?
Ascension.
Good luck with that. Um, Styes can be cured by rubbing it with a good wedding ring or hair taken from the tip of a cat's tail 9 times. The sty can also be washed with cow urine or rubbed with green garlic. I don't think I want to rub garlic in my eye that has a
Now,
sty.
now,
A
or
sty, what's that? Well, a sty was also thought to disappear if a person rang a doorbell and then ran off before the door was answered. Cataracts could be treated by rubbing the ashes from a burnt cat's head onto the affected eye. Conjunctivitis could be cured by applying a lotion made from powdered vine shoots or an eye wash of egg yolk, curdled milk, and urine.
Yeah. Fever. I got the fever. Super, superstitions say that one of the best ways to get rid of a fever is to eat spiders alive
Oh,
on,
God, no.
on slices of apples.
Oh,
Cobweb, cobwebs may also be rolled up into pills and eaten, or
no.
a spider can be worn in a box or bag around a person's neck. No, thank you. Until it dies. Or you do. Didn't say that, but I just thought I'd throw that in there. Another solution is to bury an egg at a crossroads in the middle of the night for 5 nights in a row. The fever will be buried with the eggs. If you neither of those solutions is appealing, a fever sufferer can also wear sets of underwear. Now, just what type of underwear are we talking about? I'm just, curious there. Family and friends must then tear off a piece of the one worn closest to the skin until no more clothing remains. Feeding a salted bran cake to a dog can transfer the symptoms to it instead. The fever can also be transferred to a disliked neighbor. Now we're talking. If one places a bag of trimmed hair and nail clippings under their door,
It's crazy. All right, we have gallstones. These can be treated by drinking a mixture of boiled sheep droppings and milk daily. Um, a headache. There are many superstitions treatments for headaches. One remedy is to wrap the skin of a snake or a hangman's rope around the afflicted person's temple while having them hold tightly onto some scraped horseradish and pressing their thumb against the roof of their mouth.
you'd have to contort yourself to do all this. Yeah, I think I'd rather have the dadgum headache.
I'm sorry. I just find it funny. Another remedy involves drying and powdering moss that was found growing on a human skull and inhaling it through the nose. I'm sorry.
uh,
So I'm gonna,
hiccup,
yeah, go ahead.
hiccup. Now,
Hiccup.
y'all have all heard of you hold a paper bag over your mouth and you blow into it or
I,
whatever.
I drink upside down.
It's supposed to cure your hiccups, whatever. An attack of the hiccups means that the sufferer is being talked about by someone else. Anyone who has hiccups in church is thought to be temporarily possessed by the devil. Never heard that one before. Remind me to never hiccup in church, they'll be sticking a cross in my chest. Cures for hiccups include simply identifying a person who is thinking about the sufferer or placing a damp paper cross on the sufferer's forehead. Other cures include holding one's breath until one count to 100. I'd die first. Oh, or dropping a cold key down the sufferer's back. Those in the U.S. say that hiccups can be stopped by surprising the sufferer with a loud noise. Alternatively, a person can grab their left thumb. Now, y'all write this down. Y'all need to take notes. By grabbing the person's left thumb with their right hand while reciting one of several charms.
I'm gonna cry.
and you gotta have goose droppings in there. I mean, they use that in everything.
Oh, I gotta get the giggles out. All right, we have madness. That's what I'm going through right now.
Yeah.
Uh, According to the superstitious tradition, those suffering from madness were treated in contrasting ways. Some people would avoid those suffering from madness, believing those who were mad to be possessed by demons, while others would welcome them because they believed that they were harbingers of luck. Those who believed in the latter thought that the mad were chosen by God. It was considered lucky to meet a mad person in the streets. Regarding mental retardation, it was believed that simpletons could see into the future. They were not supposed to move out of their home district, as it was thought that another person in the area would have to become more mentally disabled at their steed. According to the Japanese, anyone who has their hair lit aflame is most certainly going to go insane. In
Yeah, I would.
Lincolnshire, yeah, I would say so. That
Fire
hurt.
on fire. I'm gonna go insane on your ass. I'm sorry. Pardon the
That
pun.
hurt. It was thought that anyone named Agnes would eventually go mad. Cures for madness include consuming honey, milk, and salt before sunrise. In Europe, madness caused by rabies would be cured by having the afflicted eat the burned and powdered liver on the diseased animal that bit them in bread and butter.
Ew. Ew, ew, ew.
There you go, Roger.
Administration. I can't wait.
Just for you.
I can't wait. In ancient societies, women were considered harbingers of evil, harbingers of evil, when they had their period. They were considered extra dangerous. Therefore, they were, and in some places still are, disbarred from important ritual events or were otherwise isolated from human contact. It was also believed that menstruating women would pollute the earth, cause fruit to fall from trees, make seeds infertile, kill swarms of bees, cause plants to wither and die, dull swords and dull mirrors. It was said that menstruating women should never make mayonnaise or jam, as the eggs will curdle and the jam will not set. They should also not be allowed to bake bread or handle meat, as the dough will not rise and the meat will spoil. In parts of Africa, menstruating women are not allowed to aid in preparing meals and are also considered bad luck for hunting parties. Oh my gosh, she's bleeding. Let's not take her. They want
Oh, jeez.
yeah.
That's funny. Oh, yeah.
If you're hunting bear, that'd be a damn good thing right there. They smell that blood and come running. I'm just saying. Hey.
Funny.
It,
Don't they say don't trust someone that bleeds for 7 days and don't die?
say that again. Very slowly. I'm kind of.
um, never trust somebody that bleeds for 7 days and don't die.
That's true. There's something wrong there.
Yeah, exactly. All right, toothache. Toothache can be avoided by wearing a tooth taken from the corpse in a bag around one's neck. Carrying a walnut or the legs of a mole is said to prevent the problem. A person should also avoid eating anything when a funeral bell is tolling, and take care to put their right sock and right pant leg on first. If one gets a toothache, they can ease the pain by nailing a few strands of hair and some nail trippings from the person suffering to an oak. Chewing on the first fern of spring or a piece of wood taken from a tree that had been hit by lightning can also ease the pain. If a tooth must be extracted, the least painful way is to make powder out of dried worms during their mating season and applying this to the tooth. The tooth should never then fall out on its own.
You apply some dead damn worms to my teeth. I'm sure they'll fall out over a while. You know,
That's funny.
along with everything else in my mouth. Tonsils, all that other good shit.
But this is stuff they do back in the day.
Okay. 25 common superstitions and their origins. This should be interesting. Number 25. It's bad luck to open an umbrella indoors. We knew that. Even though many people believe that this superstition started with the pharaohs in ancient Egypt, most historians trace the belief back to Victorian times when the poorly designed umbrellas of the time would have been a very legitimate hazard indoors. Number 24. Walking under a ladder is bad luck. Egyptians regarded triangles as sacred, and since a ladder resting against a wall forms a triangle, it was not okay for someone to walk through it. Broken mirrors lead to 7 years bad luck. We know all that. That's number 23. Looking into the mirror to protect the future was a practice used in ancient Greece and was called catatromacy.
Pharmacy, yeah.
Having a distorted reflection was considered a really bad sign. Later, the Romans taught the idea that people have 7 year cycles of good health and then bad health. Combine those two traditions, and the modern superstition is born.
All right. 22. When you spill salt, toss some over your left shoulder to avoid bad luck. Tossing spilled salt over your left shoulder started around 3500 BC by the Sumerians. After the tradition spread to the Egyptians, Assyrians, and later the Greeks. 21. Knock on wood to prevent disappointment. Even though this is a very common superstition, historians are unsure what their true origins are. They believe it is possible that the habit comes from touching a wood crucifix while taking an oath.
Huh. Number 20.
Go ahead.
Hang a horseshoe on your door with the open end up for good luck. During the Middle Ages, many people thought that witches feared horses and would stay away from any sign of them. Because of this, the people would put horseshoes on their barns during the summer. 19. A black cat crossing your path is unlucky. Originally, because of ancient Egyptians, cats were considered good luck. But when King Charles I mourned the loss of his cat, he decided that his luck was gone. Now people all over the world believe the sight of a black cat is bad.
All right. The lucky 13 is unlucky. Now I'm going to take a shot at this.
Oh my God, what a word.
Triskaidekaphobia. Triskaidekaphobia. So say that. Triskaidekaphobia.
That
That's the
sounds good to
fear
me.
of the number 13, which originates back to Norse mythology when 12 gods were said to be having dinner with Loki, and the god of strife and evil crashed the party and ultimately caused the death of Balder, one of the gods. 17, finding a four-leaf clover is lucky. In ancient times, the Celts believed that the four-leaf clover were powerful objects that they could be used to ward off evil.
Number 16, wishing upon a shooting star. And who hasn't done that? In the first century, I don't know if the P is silent here, told me, theorized that shooting stars resulted from gods peering down on the earth. While the gods were looking, people would send their wishes and hope they would hear them. 15, holding your breath while passing a cemetery. Normally, this is attributed to the connection between breathing and living. However, in some Native American cultures, breathing near the dead was risky because you might accidentally inhale someone's soul. Wow.
Like, how could you not breathe, though? 14, throwing coins in a fountain for luck. Originally, this was practiced by the ancient Romans and then was also used, the Celts?
What now?
Many theorize that it was a piece the water gods.
The
Uh,
Celts.
Celts, yeah, goes either way, I guess. Wishing on dandelions. Blowing out the seeds of a dandelion originated in Celtic mythology. It was believed that dandelions could cure diseases and would bring about good fairies.
Wow. I used to do that all the time when I was a kid. Put number 12, putting hats on a bed is bad luck. Some cultures used to think that evil spirits lived in people's hair and would get on their hats. Number 11, putting candles on a birthday cake. In ancient Greek, they used to make birthday cakes. It is said that they would put candles on the cakes so that they would look like the moon in honor of the moon goddess Artemis. Today, candles on a birthday cake are associated with making wishes and having good luck. I thought they were associated with basically having to do with that person's age or whatever.
So concrete.
Maybe, you know.
10. It is lucky for the bride to see chimney sweep on her wedding day. And 1066, King William was about to run over by a carriage, but was saved by a nearby chimney sweep. The king then invited him to his daughter's wedding, and chimney sweeps are still seen to be lucky to this day. Seeing the bride on the wedding day is bad luck. Number 9. This was seen as bad luck because it was often worried that if the bride saw the groom, she might get cold feet and not follow through with the wedding plans. This may also be because many weddings used to be prearranged.
Number 8, carrying the bride over the threshold. In Western cultures, it was seen as bad luck for the bride to trip while entering her new home. So, to completely avoid the possibility, the groom would just carry her. Just as long as he doesn't trip, everything should be fine. Okay. Yeah, you do that. Number 7, a rabbit's foot brings good luck. During the 7th century BC, the rabbit came to be considered a talismanic symbol, and its left hind foot was a way to benefit from the rabbit's luck. Left hind foot. So what if you get the front right foot, or, you know?
It's bad luck.
Yeah. Okay. You remember the monkey's paw?
Bird droppings on your head for luck. That's number 6. This belief possibly stems from the idea that if you have bad fortune, the tide will soon turn in your favor. With life having its different cycles, it would make sense that people would think, well, it can only get better from here. Number 5, wearing the wedding ring on the 4th finger of the left hand. This tradition started when the ancient Romans dissected corpses and found that there was specific slender sinew or nerve that ran from the left 4th finger to the heart.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that.
Wishbones being associated with luck. Ancient Etruscans would often use chickens in their sacred divination rituals. People believed that if they saved the wishbone after the chicken died, they would be able to benefit from the oracle's magic. How about that? Number 3, lighting 3 cigarettes with 1 match is unlucky. Now, I remember hearing that shit back when I was a kid, when I first started smoking.
Really?
Yeah.
Back
And
when they were 50 cents.
nobody would light the 3rd cigarette. You had to strike another match. Some people believe that this rumor was started among soldiers who believed that by the time they lit their 3rd cigarette, a sniper would have spotted them. Others say that the businessman Ivor Kruger came up with the idea in order to get people to buy up more of his matches. That probably makes more sense.
And the last 2 we have for you tonight is placing shoes on the table. Many years ago, when a miner died, his shoes would be placed on a table. This tradition led to the superstition that putting shoes on the table brings bad luck. And the number one is if you step on a crack, you break your mother's back.
I don't remember that.
Although the exact origin is uncertain, this myth became popular when it was published by Fletcher Bascom Dressler's book, Superstition and Education, in 1907. It does make sense to avoid cracks while walking so that you don't risk tripping. Perhaps the superstition goes back to fear of instability and the symbolism of falling in life. All right, well, that's about all we have for you tonight.
And you gotta admit, some of this stuff was freaking hilarious.
That's funny.
I ain't kidding, and I won't forget goose droppings for a long time. I promise you. I mean, goose droppings is in every daggum thing. Yeah, never mind. I hope everybody enjoyed it. The 25th, I will be doing real ghost stories, and it's truck driver horror tales or ghost stories from truck drivers, etc.
Well,
Will
the
be
25th, we also have Paranormal Graveyard.
on the paranormal graveyard. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Let us know what you pick, and we'll get that set up.
Hopefully, maybe next month. This depends on how everything falls. We might actually bring a guest on for a middle of the month show, kind of surprise thing. We'll just have to see what goes on with that. But we had planned on like maybe doing that every other month or so. Just bring on a surprise guest in the middle of the month, just for the fun of it, and it'll be a Beyond the Grave Paranormal Graveyard United show. There, it'll be like just we're just doing our thing. So
Yeah, absolutely.
So hopefully we'll get that set up. Maybe next month we'll get to bring somebody on and talk about some good old paranormal stuff, or whatever their topic is. See, we don't know right now. That's the surprise part.
And we
So
also are thinking about coming up soon. Precious Moon Dancer, Melissa. She's the psychic that would be coming on to our show as well as a guest, and she'll be doing readings from chat
yeah,
for
that'd be
people
cool.
that are interested in knowing about their personal lives.
So when she comes on, anybody in the chat room that wants to get a reading done, we'll try to get that all worked into it.
Yeah, oh yeah, it'll be the whole show. We'll be doing
Yeah. So we'll be able to. I can't promise you how long the readings will be, depending on how many we can do in 2 hours time. So
it'll be fun. It'll be really fun.
yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. Anyway, we enjoyed having everybody and couldn't do a show without you. We'll see y'all on the 25th, Paranormal Graveyard, with real true ghost stories, truck drivers, ghost stories, etc.
Yeah, we got a lot coming, so it'll be great. But everyone, thank you very much, everyone in chat, and everyone have a good night.
Good night, everybody.